Welcome to the Non-Essential Podcast. I'm Steve Gibson.
I'm Ben Matlock.
And we're back against better judgment.
And Steve's full of germs and bacteria.
Again.
And bullshit. All those germs are living rent-free in your head, dude.
Yeah, I don't remember if I was talking to you about it. I talked to a couple of people about it. Tara likes to watch movies, and she's like
a freak.
Yeah, she's a weirdo. I don't understand.
I tried watching a movie last night. I fucking vomited, dude. Disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. They're deviants.
It was like fucking Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise. How?
But she's seen at least 2 different movies, but I think it's 3 or 4, where it's like all about it's always the mom. It's a crazy mom that convinces their kid that they've got some kind of rare disease so they can never go outside or like interact with other people, or else they might get sick and die. And then you find out that it's like the whole disease is a lie, and the mom's just like one of those super overbearing, like, I don't want my kid out in the world people. Yeah. And so she's watched a couple of those movies.
Waterboy. She watches Waterboy all the time.
Yeah. And I haven't watched them, but I've seen them and got the premise, and it's like, man, how fucked up are these? Like, because it happens. It's happened in real life. It's where they get the idea for the movies. But it's like, how messed up are those people? Now, my perspective is slightly different, because as someone who's not really been sick in like 3 years, who now has a kid in daycare and's been sick twice in a month, like, I kind of see the appeal of tricking Lincoln into being like, yeah, you can never go outside.
Yeah.
And it's not so much
I
to
get
protect
it now,
her.
I'm going to like bring a human being into this world and then completely stunt her potential to be a human being. And she might make me sick.
And I get the side. It's like, what it normally is the parent just can't stand the thought of something. Cause that is a shitty, like, scary part of being a parent, is realizing that, and you realize like instantly that they're born. You're like, oh, guess what? I don't have control over everything. Something horrible could happen and you can't stop everything. So that is a hard part about being a parent. But no, I want to sequester her in a bubble to protect me, because I'm a selfish asshole and I'm sick of her getting me sick. Like, but
as a non-parent, I can say I have full control over everything around me, and it's great. So if you're ever upset about the state of the world, right here, guys, I made that happen. Fuck you.
Puppet master.
Direct all complaints to my Twitter. Follow me on Twitter to complain. Follow me on Twitter, in fact.
The other fun thing is we're recording on a Friday instead of Thursday, because literally, like, as we're getting ready to hit record, Tara comes down with a phone call saying, hey, somebody ran a car into our office building.
I paid the guy to do it, because I wasn't ready, even though it's not my week to have a story.
And they had whisked him off to the hospital. He's okay, but he was older, and they're like, yeah, we just want to have him checked out to make sure he's okay. And it's like, he's not going to be. He didn't finish the job I paid for.
Well, so that was fun. I can't have him. Hospitals ask questions. It's like, you got to fucking...
I know. He was lucky he escaped before I got there, because now I can't.
That would be fucking great if the dude just vanished from the hospital. It's just like, so this guy, like, he must have been bought off to do minor damage to my office.
The interesting thing is, because, of course, you get that call, and again, we talked off air, and most people aren't familiar with my office, but it's not particularly close to the road. So your first thought is, how the hell did anybody manage to do that? Although it happened, I work in insurance, so... we've had those situations before. People doing stupid things with cars can do amazingly stupid things with cars. But you think like, yeah, I don't understand how anybody managed to pull this off.
Maybe his car was breaking down as he was driving and saw your guys' sign. And it was like, I got to get there. It's my only chance.
So, of course, my first thought, there's 2 things that it usually is. It's somebody's like just wasted out of their mind, or they're like elderly and just completely out of like, disoriented, or medical emergency. And so I get there and the cops are there and the fire department's there and they're like, oh yeah, he says somebody ran him off the road. And I say, everybody always, again, I've done insurance for 20 years. Anytime somebody goes off the road and hits something, their story is somebody ran me off the road. Mm-hmm. But no, there was a big, that's the fucked up thing. There was a big scratch down the side of his car when it had happened. And I guess according to, there was a witness too, some guy like just sideswiped him going the same direction as him. Like they tried to pass him, sideswiped him. When they realized they hit him, they thought, oh shit, I'm going to run this fucker off the road and make my escape. So they like intentionally ran the dude off the road and took off. And it's like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But,
driving, there's a reason why I'm almost 30 and I still don't have my license. It fucking scares me.
I know it was interesting because one of my first thoughts, because we were on this call together when we got that call, was that like, it's weird because a similar thing happened to you not long ago. It wasn't your house, but somebody obliterated your car on the side of the road. And
and that was scary because he like hopped a full fucking lane and rammed it head on, going probably like 50 or 55 in a school area, and and he just passed out. Like he was just drunk at 5 p.m., which I'm not gonna knock. I should be drunk by 5 p.m. tonight, but I don't drive, and I wouldn't drive. Yeah, that was my birthday present. So that was fucking cool.
I like to think that just before you hit the car, he was yelling, "Happy birthday, motherfucker!" Yeah. Like he doesn't even know you or know it's your birthday, but he just happened to yell that and then slam into your car. Yeah. But so that was an eventful evening. And then today at work just sucked all day. So I'm in a great mood for this podcast this week.
Yeah. Well, we raise spirits around here. Through the ancient art of storytelling. Usually stories that aren't our own. But I guess you had a little one today. But yeah, if you've never heard the show before, we take stories from the internet, fact, fiction, blah, 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 blah. That's the whole operation here.
Yeah, we take stories from the internet and scat to them.
Yeah.
We're both pretty good at that. Maybe we should think about career changes.
I think anybody can be good at scatting if they're tired.
I think
that's the one criteria.
Well, maybe two criteria. One, be tired, and two, just you got to get over that mental thing. Just don't give a shit. Like, don't care about looking like in it. Yeah. Just go. But random stories, and I've got one. It's kind of a short one, but given how the rest of the week has gone, that'll be a blessing.
So buckle up, 2-hour Snyder Cut podcast coming.
That's next week. Wouldn't that be great to do like a remaster of an episode literally the following
and make it like 4 hours?
4 hours, yeah.
I could do it. I could pat it out.
So, I guess without further ado, I got my story right here.
You're already dragging it out.
Yes. So, you see, it was a sunny day with a little bit of clouds.
I'm going to fall asleep.
Okay, so 13-year-old...
Action missiles to this now.
Action missiles. What were they, snow bandits or ice bandits?
Yeah. Can we get ice bandits too, please?
I need to just start injecting ice bandits into every story.
The rage will wake me.
All right, so 13-year-old Nicholas Barclay spent the afternoon of June 14th, 1994, playing basketball with some friends at a court near his home in San Antonio, Texas, the happiest place on earth, especially right now. Later that day, he used a payphone to call his older brother and ask for a ride home. His older brother, Jason, said,
laughed at him.
Yeah, basically, he said, fuck you, the court's like 2 blocks from the house, walk. And Nicholas said, no, fuck you. Come pick me up, bitch. I don't want to walk. And Jason said, no.
Car.
Yeah. He said, what are you going to do about it, motherfucker? There's a lot of cussing in the Barclay family. So Nicholas said, well, fine, put Mom on the phone. I'm going to make Mama come pick me up. And then again, Jason said, no, I'm not going to go get Mom. She's sleeping, bitch. I'm adding some flavor to the text here, if you can't
just
tell.
A lot of random hostility.
Yeah. Because that's how I imagine this phone call went. But their mom, she worked third shift at a donut shop, which sounds like my dream job. And that wasn't sarcasm. I love donuts.
Third shift sucks, though.
Yeah, and third shift at a donut shop would extra suck because it would just be like annoying fucking drunk people that are getting to be drunk and eat donuts at 3 a.m. and you're sitting there making probably minimum wage. It's that thing
of like, when you're a kid, running a donut shop sounds awesome, but it's like, I wouldn't want to give those away to be like, I want those for me.
Right.
Because I'm a fucking diabetes mess waiting to happen.
I was about to say that this job better come with health care because I'm going to definitely fucking have diabetes. But, so anyway, he refused to wake his mom up because she was sleeping after her third shift. And then I imagine at some point they just hung up on each other.
Fine, bitch, motherfucker.
Chink.
Love you.
So, of course, Nicholas never returned home. Prior to his disappearance, Nicholas had been known to be a troubled kid. He'd been arrested for a number of like minor thefts and, his general bad kiddery. He had a record for violence, including a number of incidents where he'd been violent with his mother. At the time of his disappearance, he was scheduled for a hearing in juvenile court. So when the family did call the police and report Nicholas missing, they just assumed he had run away. 3 months after he had disappeared, Jason called the police, that's the older brother, and called them to report that he had seen his motherfucker younger brother Nicholas trying to break into our motherfucking garage. I don't know why.
I'm sick of those motherfucking Jakes.
Jason just in my head. That's how.
Plane.
Right. Yeah. He talks like the San Antonio white kid version of that. Anyway, Jason called the police and said he had seen his brother trying to break into the family's garage, but then had run away. But that was the last time the Barclays would report seeing Nicholas. Then in October of 1997, which was 3 years and 1 month after Nicholas had failed to return home after chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and shooting some b-ball, the San Antonio Police Department received a call from authorities in Spain informing them that Nicholas Barclay had been found. The Spanish authorities, they just kept saying Spanish authorities, so I don't know if it was like the actual police or if they just called maybe he was like a
club in Spain.
Yeah, horticulture specialist. He's like, I'm the authority on
welcome to the authorities club.
Like maybe they just have a division of authority in Spain. I don't know, but it just repeatedly said Spanish authorities. But apparently they had received a call from Nicholas claiming that he had just escaped a European military child sex trafficking ring, which I don't know what the military has to do with the sex trafficking ring, but whatever. Some QAnon, early QAnon shit, I guess. So, of course, Nicholas's family was notified, and they flew his sister Carrie out to Spain to collect him, which is interesting to me. It's like, hey, your son that's been missing for 3 years, we found him, but he's in Spain. And the mom's like, Spain? I'm not fucking going to Spain. I got donuts to sell.
Well, he's a bit of an asshole. You go get him.
Yeah, and the sister's like, I always wanted to go to Spain. I'll take the trip.
I always want to go to Spain.
So they flew the sister Carrie out to Spain, and she positively identified her brother and had him released into her custody. He was issued a passport and returned to the United States with his sister. Of course, I assume they flew back together. Maybe they took separate planes. I don't know.
She's like, okay, you go back. I'm going to stay in Spain for a week.
Yeah, this is your rescue. For me, this is a vacation. For his part, Nicholas seemed little worse for the wear. Despite spending the last few years being smuggled by traffickers, he showed no signs of physical injury or even really mental trauma. Like, you'd think if you ended up in a European sex trafficking ring...
Man, they threw me into a goddamn cargo hold for 3 weeks. Shit was wild.
Wild. So no real trauma, but there was the curious fact, however, that his blonde hair was now brown, and his blue eyes were now also brown. And also he spoke with a distinct French accent.
His sister was not very bright.
So Nicholas explained that he had been forced to use eye drops that chemically changed the color of his eyes, and that the French accent, of course, was due to being forced to speak French throughout his years of captivity.
Is this run by a Batman villain? Like, because that's not... All right, keep going.
So Nicholas re-enrolled in high school and resumed life with his estranged family. Nicholas's story of abduction, escape, and then the eventual reunion with his family caught the attention of a show called Hard Copy. You may remember it. It may still be around. I don't know. I remember it back from the 90s anyway. It was kind of like a Dateline, whatever. And they arranged an interview with the family as part of a segment featuring Nicholas's story, because that's exactly what they cover. A detective by the name of Charlie Parker also thought the story seemed pretty interesting, and so he ended up sitting in on the interview. Being the crack detective that he was, Detective Parker couldn't get over the differences between 13-year-old Nicholas at the time of his abduction and this brown-haired, brown-eyed Nicholas, French Nicholas, who just 3 years later appeared to be in his late 20s.
And apparently forgot the word bitch. It doesn't say it nearly as much.
Nearly as much. I don't know. If I knew I was going to do that at the start of the story, I would have looked up the French word for bitch. But
I think it's just bitch, but I'll look it up.
Yeah,
Keep going.
Yeah. So the detective kind of pointed these things out to the Barclays. He's like, hey, so I noticed this dude sitting here looks to be way older than 16 and doesn't look anything like Nicholas. And he seems to be French. And the Barclays were like, you're fucking stupid. Get out of here. And they insisted that he was indeed their son. However, Detective Parker didn't give up because, like I said, he was a crack detective. And by that I mean he was probably on crack, like most detectives. And he eventually got Nicholas to admit that he was actually a French con man named Frederick Bourdon. So for his part, Bourdon actually had a long history of impersonating children throughout Europe, earning the nickname Peter Pan, the boy who refuses to grow up within the European media. So I guess they had sent their sister to retrieve French Peter Pan, which is also Peter Pan.
So there's something interesting. The word bitch in France, there's like 6 variations.
What a beautiful language.
And a lot of them mean the same thing. So there's like what Google gives you first is I want to say it's Shin. It's Chienne or Shinny. And then there's La Femelle, which is like more for like female. La pute, which is like bitch, whore. La gosse, la putain, and this one I love, and I'm going to say it wrong, but it's funny. La poufias.
Poofy. How has poofy ass not caught on in English? Like as a
amazing.
You poofy ass.
I'm gonna go with that now.
I see why they call it the language of love.
It's beautiful.
So anyway, yeah, this guy, it doesn't seem like it was that hard. Like the detective invited the guy to like lunch, and then over lunch he was like, yeah, how do you like your, are you really Nicholas? And the guy's like, whoa, no, I'm not, obviously.
Yeah, I think I'll have the clam chowder and the bread pies, and who the fuck are you really? Yeah.
Or maybe he kept doing that thing. He was like, he knew he was French, so he was like, Pierre says what? Damn, it didn't work. Frederic says what? And the guy's like, what? And he's like, yeah, ha ha ha. I gotcha.
Maybe they do the thing. I was talking to some friends at work today, and I was joking about if I could do, like, if it was my job to do, like, the job interviews, and how I would just, like, bring them into a room and sit down and just stare them down.
Yeah.
And never ask a question. Like, maybe it was like that.
You know, that's funny because we watched the episode of Superstore. I don't know if you've heard of or watched the show. It's actually pretty good. But last night, and it was there was a lawyer coming in to deposition people for something. But the big thing, one of the characters is like, oh, be careful. One of their techniques is to leave an awkward silence, and then that'll make you say more than you want to say. And like, that was a big part of the episode. So it's funny that you bring that up because we just watched that last night. But yeah, and we actually learned about that in Police Academy too.
Just put people in an uncomfortable spot.
Yeah.
And I'm totally fuck up everything.
And the funny thing is I'm very bad at like employing that as a tool, like because I'm also one of those people that's extremely susceptible to that.
You would give up everything in the investigation because you couldn't handle an awkward room.
Right. I couldn't handle my own silence. Like, this is too awkward. Fuck. We don't actually have anything on you.
It's like, Gibson, shut the fuck up.
So anyway, this guy admitted it. The FBI arrested him and charged him with perjury and lying to obtain a false passport. He spent 6 years in prison before being released and returning to France, where he now lives a relatively normal life, apparently, with a wife and children of his own. So it was just like a phase.
Sometimes you got to take a roundabout way to get out of Spain, you know? He took a wrong turn, ended up there, could not get out. He saw an option, he went for it.
You know, the funniest part of that is, like I said, he had a history of impersonating children, which probably worked better for him. I think I couldn't find an exact age, and I didn't dig that hard looking for other like articles, but I got the impression he was around like 26, 27, like mid to late 20s. But it sounds like he has a history of doing this. So when it started, he could probably pass as a teenager or a kid a lot easier. But it was just something that, these people, he called himself Le Chameleon, which you probably don't need a dictionary to translate.
It's French for puffy ass.
Puffy ass, yes. And so some of these people just have this thing where they kind of get off on, and maybe literally, I don't know, but just like the con, that's their whole thing. They just enjoy. And then, so you got to think when I forget how it said he caught word of this missing kid, it was news. So it probably just played on a news channel or something, and he happened to overhear it. And he's like, I'm going to be this missing kid from Texas. Mm-hmm. And then when the daughter came out, it's like, yeah, that's my brother. He was probably like, oh my God. Well, fuck, I guess I'm going with it.
She is so stupid. It actually
And then imagine how nervous he had to be when she's like, Mom, I'm home. I've got Nick here with me. And the mom came out and she's like, huh. And he's like, shit, this isn't going to work. And she's like, hi, Nick. And he's like, oh, really?
Bonjour, mama.
Yes, like, I am he.
And they're just like, okay, I guess.
And you are? Of course. I was just testing you.
I imagine
this is my
that's
episode to offend any French listeners with my terrible French accent, by the way. But
that sister has to feel like the dumbest fucking person when that's over. Is you're like, oh shit. Yeah. I didn't really look.
So
I was half reading.
Well, to be fair, I never cared about my brother when he was living here. He was a dick. Like, I couldn't remember what he looked like. He was a guy. He was a dude.
It's been a couple years. He could be 20 now. He matched the
description. He was. So anyway, by the time all this went down and they finally got him to admit that he wasn't Nick, Bourdain had spent more than 5 months living with the Barclays and attending high school as their son Nicholas, despite not looking anything like him.
And being generally a nicer guy.
I was just happy he wasn't hitting me. The brother is like, he never once asked me for a fucking ride. I loved him. And I was like, can we adopt him?
I don't give a shit. That's my brother, man. Yep. Blood or not.
But it stands to testament to just how deeply in denial people can go when faced with grief. The end. But not really. Of course, there's other theories.
But there's so much more.
More, yeah. Actually, there's not. There's like a paragraph and a half more. But it's an interesting paragraph and a half. Detective Parker began to suspect that the family had actually been involved with Nicholas's disappearance in the first place. So then when the opportunity...
Like, it seemed like they could be in on this.
Well, that's what it makes way more sense. So that, like, if they knew that they were responsible for it in some way or something had happened, like maybe they didn't kill him, but they felt guilty because they knew something happened. And it was kind of their fault for not picking him up or whatever.
So they're thinking like somebody's like, oh, we could convince people that we found him again. Score. We're off the hook.
And that makes me think that it's way more direct. Like they had direct involvement in his disappearance, and they're like, well, we'll never get caught if people think he's still alive. So here's our opportunity. And that's what Detective Parker thought. He had also noticed that like the brother Jason, like during the interview and everything, just whenever he was around with the French Nicolas, or Nikolai. I don't know how you would say that in French.
They kept doing secret handshakes, and him and his real brother never did that.
Jason avoided looking at him altogether. Like, it was real awkward. It was pretty obvious that Jason knew it wasn't Nicholas, but like but he was like, yeah, that's totally my brother.
To be fair, that's totally me and my brother.
You're actually brothers, and you're like,
yeah, and we're kind of
looking at each other.
Yeah, don't look at me. Mom, he's looking at me, and I'm gonna hit him, and that's pretty much our relationship.
Yeah. He suspected that it was specifically Jason that was directly involved with Nicholas's disappearance. And that's a suspicion that apparently was kind of shared by the San Antonio police, although their digging seemed to end at, oh, this guy says he's Nicholas. What can we do? However, as maybe further proof, although it's not really, especially not by court standards, but 2 days after Detective Parker confronted Jason about these suspicions, said, look, I think you knew that this isn't your brother. I think you had something to do with his disappearance. And of course, Nicholas is like, fuck you, motherfucker. Cause as I recall, that's how Jason talked. But 2 days after Detective Parker confronted him about these suspicions, Jason died of a drug overdose. So it kind of seemed like now
it sounds like the cops were behind it. Because that's
or the mom.
That's there.
Yeah, the mom's like, fuck, they're getting too close to me.
He just OD'd on 5 9mm rounds.
So that's kind of the end of it because nothing more. It sounds like the detective is still trying to like piece stuff together, but by this point, we're 20 years after the fact.
You'll never find him. You'll never find out that I did it. Fuck.
How fucked up would it be if all of a sudden, like, tomorrow there's a news story is like, oh, Nicholas Barclay, who disappeared in the 90s, finally emerges. He escaped a European military sex ring. It's like, oh, that was his actual fate. Like,
or he just stayed with a friend like 3 houses down.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know what, I hate my family. They're dumb enough to think I'm French. Thing,
because, I mean, it is a little suspicious, like... It really is a circumstantial, like, why would a family go along with this thing where it's so clearly, like, they had to know that was not their son. There's no way that you could reasonably be like, oh yeah, we accept all these explanations for this. Unless they knew what happened. But you never know. I mean, sometimes, like I said, grief and just weirdness, like, imagine how mentally breaking that could be too if you thought your son that you had lost like was found and then you go find him and it's like it's not him and maybe you're just like fuck it, like whatever, like so it's not like locks a family up. It's not good enough proof for that, but it is suspicious.
Yeah.
But like it seems way more given like Nicholas's backstory and the fact that the brother reported seeing him breaking into the garage. You know, it doesn't seem entirely unlikely that he just ran away. Although, again, if you murdered your brother, you know, reporting that you saw him breaking into your garage and he ran away 3 months after you murdered him would be a great way to try to throw off suspicion that your brother's dead and that you murdered him. So, I don't know.
But I honestly, after that much time, the safer play is to just...
shut the fuck up.
Like,
yeah.
Like, it's been months.
Because at this point, the police
reopen the interest, you know?
Especially since it's sadly, the system, a lot of times they look at that. If it's a troubled kid that goes missing, they just go, they ran away.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that there's not like a detective that'll look into it, but they're certainly not like calling down like every resource of the FBI or anything. Like, so I don't know. It was just a weird story, but I loved the wrinkle there that they found him and it was just some random French guy, and they're like, yeah, that's him.
Just after a few months, it's like, I have a confession.
And I also love
Pierre, but I love you as a son.
The other interesting thing when you think about it, like I said, 5 months that he was enrolled in school. So not only was the family going along with it, but presumably some of the kids that he was in school with must have known the younger Nicholas, and everybody was just
like... Why does Nicholas always write his name down as Jacques? It's like,
I don't remember him wearing quite so many berets.
Now I'm imagining, like, we're fucking assholes on this show, but now I'm imagining like a full-blown French mime.
Yeah.
Going over, it's like, no, I'm sure that's my son.
But it's interesting when you think like this whole town, and it's an inner city like school, it sounds like, but just like teachers and students and friends and family.
How much do you really remember about Nicholas, huh? Honestly.
Yeah, that's how sad is that? That's the thing, is Nicholas might still be alive and he was just waiting to reunite with his family. Then he heard this story and he's like, motherfuckers.
Oh, like, I would never fucking go back if I was okay. Even if I was in a fucking sex ring and I heard like, oh, they apparently took in some fucking random Frenchmen.
Said he was you.
In my place.
You'd be like, you escape the sex ring, you find that out, you're like, fuck it, I'm going back to the sex ring. Like,
fucking eyeball dye? Really? You bought that? Fucking idiots. I'm going back to work.
Yeah.
Well,
like I said, I love that. Like, everybody just kind of accepted it. They're like, "Yeah, this is obviously wrong, but whatever." And then this one detective's like,
"It's still wrong."
No, yeah, yeah, like
just one sane guy in a like town of madness, just being like, reality still fucking matters."
Right. You gotta think that was the easiest case that he's ever worked on in his life. Like. And the guy just admitted it. It's not like he really had to. He's like, "Look, are you Nicholas?"
Yeah, like one
day.
Yeah,
Nicholas is like, "Why is your hair brown?"
He's just
okay,
like,
I'm not.
He like walks into the room and it's just like, "Okay, this is your son. Why is he French now?" And it's just that quick.
And I like that the whole family is like, he just is. And then the Frenchman's like, "Fuck, you got me." Like, the family's like, "No, bitch."
I'm American.
Like, if he had not admitted that he wasn't Nicholas, like, I wonder if he'd still be Nicholas Barclay. Like, because really, like, at that point, as a detective, what if the family doesn't want to fight it? Like, what do you have to go on? Like,
the truth, and that's the movie. That's the movie poster right there. All he had to go on was the truth. Starring Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey is the one guy who sees this dude's French. It's a long title. We're working on
it. Matthew McConaughey is La Poufias.
La Poufias. No, I thought it was good. If anything, it got us poofy ass, so it's a keeper.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the show this week. We're gonna go enjoy our Friday, and by this time it'll be Tuesday for you suckers, you idiots. It'll be Tuesday. You're fucked.
We got to hear our show like 4 days before you.
Meanwhile,
we're VIPs.
Meanwhile, it's the weekend here, bitch.
Yeah. Party time. I'm going to go take a nap, bitch.
I'm going to go sleep a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's about that time of the day where I could go take a nap, wake up, and go to bed. Like
Friday night. 1 more hour till I get to take more cold medicine. Getting live in here.
What? We have fun here.
I'm going to just let it hang like that. It's over. Bye.